What is up, guys? We are live action. Can everybody hear me? Can everybody see me? I see you guys already liking the video. See y'all on here. Let's go. Light the box up. We are live action. I'm Dr. Pinesett, the Study Doc, and today we're talking about the two choices you guys have, right? Oftentimes in life, we don't recognize this, but we can either choose to make excuses or we can choose to make progress. As students, as pre-meds, as future successful people, these are our options. Let's talk about it today, and let's talk about how if you are failing to get better, if you're failing to make that progress, you're failing to succeed the way you want, you've got to make some changes. We're gonna talk about how to do that today, y'all. So if you are ready, guys, start lighting the boxes up. Let me know where you're at right now. What are you stuck on that you wanna make progress on? Because we're gonna teach today, we're gonna learn today. So what is your problem? How can I help you make progress today, y'all?
What I teach you guys is transformation. If you didn't dominate, changes need to be made. So I give you guys entire systems that make you new. But stop making excuses, stop whining, stop, right? Get at it. No excuses, just dominate.
All right, y'all, we are live action, and I want to get a quick shout out before we get started to my new sponsor. It's the first sponsor I've actually accepted for this show, and that is Roland, y'all. Roland is providing my new fancy setup for you guys. You guys are seeing here, you guys are hearing here. That's allowing me to bring in the cool video effects. We're not doing it today, but we're trying to bring in the iPad. He's using the iPad, so I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Roland, for hooking me up so I can hook you guys up, all right? So we're talking about making progress or making excuses, and you guys know the catchphrase, right? It's always on my shirt. It's no excuses, just dominate. And this is a phrase that I created when I looked at my life and I looked at myself as a student in college and I said, dang, I'm not getting the results I want. I'm not succeeding. I'm not in the position to create my future. Now I have a decision. I can pack up my tent and I can go home and I can quit. And I can do that. I can focus on all the reasons I have not to succeed. I'm a first generation student. I'm the only black cat in this whole college practically, right? The chocolate chip in the giant sea of milk. I don't read well. I don't have any connections, any hookups. I don't understand how to navigate to medical school. I'm out here guessing. I could have pointed out all those excuses. Instead, I made the decision to say, no, looking at myself, the reason I haven't been successful to this point, the reason I'm not making the progress I need to make, maybe I'm not growing into college, is because I've been so focused on all of these excuses. And for you guys, how many of you guys are stuck on excuse? How many guys are stuck in that mode where anytime something goes wrong, you got an excuse loaded, cocked and loaded, ready to shoot it off? Bow, bow, bow. That's my excuse. This is why I didn't succeed. Bow, bow, bow. This is why I didn't get the A. Bow, bow, bow. This is why you're ready to fire off excuses. Anytime someone tells you, hey, listen, you can do better. No, I know what I'm doing. I can't do that because of this. How many of you guys are that person where you've always got this defensive wall, this wall of excuses keeping you from that progress, right? Rosanna says, I've been trying to focus more on the outcome I want and less on the excuses. And that's what we're talking about today is we have to decide, guys. You can't be on both sides of the fence. Either you are focused on the excuses, that's where your energy is, that's where your time is, that's where your whole mental mindset is, or you're one of those people who's forward-looking and saying, no, I'm not going to make excuses, I'm going to make progress. And the problem and the issue and the reason excuses are our default and why we love excuses so much is because excuses are easy. Oh, it's so easy to make an excuse. Please excuses are easy. Making progress is hard because oftentimes, as Rosanna just talked about making the outcome, too often as students, we only see one outcome. And that outcome is the ultimate outcome. Stay with me for a second. So many pre-meds I meet with are incredibly frustrated, are incredibly close to being hopeless about their pursuit of medical school because it's either I'm into medical school or I'm not. I failed before, and now I got to be into medical school or I'm a failure still. And we have to recognize it's not possible to get into medical school in one day. It's not possible to get an A today in one day. It's not possible to become a straight A student today. So if our only sign, our only alternatives are excuse or ultimate success outcome, and those are our two options, we're always going to choose excuse because we know in our mind, deep down, there's no way we can make that big leap today. Where the middle lies and where we don't recognize is the progress. Everything, guys, everything worth having, every major success requires significant time, significant effort, significant focus. You can't become great in one day. You can't become a doctor with a snap of your fingers. You can't become an A student. I'm an A student. I wish I could do that. Sometimes I try to do that when I meet with students. I try to they come out and they see me at an event. I'm just like, you are a straight A student. I want to shake their forehead and make them a straight A student. But I'm always telling students, I can't make you a straight A student. I can show you the way. I can show you the pathway to progress, the steps you need to take to reach that outcome. And the separator, right? You guys know my 5 pillars saying let's get a better grades course is phenomenal. It's the ultimate study system. It's the greatest single study system anyone's ever created. It's guaranteed success. If you choose to make progress, if you choose to trust the process, if you choose to take the steps. It's a big mindset shift. When you get into my course, I'm not a quick fix, hacky guy. We're going to put work in, but that work is going to, you plant them seeds today, that tree's going to grow so bountiful, you're going to have apples for forever. And it's a different perspective because why? Because as I am, my student shall be. That sounded intelligent. As I am, my student shall be, and we are progress focused. We are focusing on the process that we must take to reach our ultimate goal. And all we care about, we know, hey, I don't have to make excuses. I don't have to be the greatest today, but I got to make some progress. What progress can I make today to get me closer to that outcome? Do you guys understand what I'm saying right now? Let me know right now. Hit that box up, like this video up right now. Let me know if you understand what I'm saying. Let me know. I'm not talking to myself today because this is live action. We are live action here. I am Dr. Pinesett. We're going to be live action every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're going to be live way more than that because I want to come to the people and I want to coach. And if you are on here right now and you are struggling with something as a student, right? As a pre-vet, as a pre-dental, as a pre-veterinary, as a pre-law student, if you're struggling with something, put it in the box and let's solve it. Let's get it. I'm here to coach today. We're going to get back to coaching. Who wants some coaching? Okay. We've got to be focused on making that progress, those baby steps. And for me, guys, when I said, listen, I'm a bad student, and my counselor told me, listen, you're a bad student, you're not going to graduate college, you're going to switch your major, all these kind of things. And I stopped and I got past the excuses. It allowed me to focus on finding solutions. And it came to a head, right? I was making all this progress. I was doing great, getting the A's. And then I ran up to a course you guys may be familiar with called calculus. Who here loves calculus? Who loves calculus the way I love calculus? Love calculus. Who loves calculus? Anissa said, yes, I love calculus. No, you don't. Calculus, right? I got to calculus and I had a big head. I was getting all these A's, it was super easy. I was busting it out. And then I got into calculus and I go to the first midterm. After the first midterm, guys, I had an F. I literally could only answer like 2 questions on the whole midterm. And I was like, oh, snap. This is bad. This is bad. And it was so bad because that was half the grade. So once I felt that midterm, it was done. It was an F. It was a wrap. So I just stopped taking it. And then I was going to take it the next term. And at that point, I had the choice, right? It was the ultimate test of this no excuse, just dominate. Because in that moment, I was dominating, and I hit calculus, and I failed. And I had a choice to either make an excuse and say, oh, this is why I failed. That's nope. You know what, calculus, that ain't real math. It's not real math. Calculus, who even needs calculus? What is this calculus they speak of, right? I could have said that to myself, right? But instead, I said, no excuses. I've got reasons that I've got to identify. Therefore, I can make progress. So how can I move forward? And I looked at it and I said, well, wait a minute, what went wrong here? Well, first of all, I got a little full of myself. Didn't start looking at the calculus until real close to the midterm. In fact, I didn't look at any calculus until the week of the midterm. And the reason I did this was because, again, I went against my process for getting A's. And my students who know, right, know that we don't depend on the teacher. We become independent of the teacher. But I was young in the game, y'all, and I didn't have myself there to tell you, hey, stop listening to the teacher, listen to this. And so I got there that first week, right? Because we go to class the first week of classes to figure out what's going on. And the teacher, the professor was like, hey guys, I don't want you guys to worry about going to the book. I don't want you to worry about all these kind of things. Like every year, what I want you guys to do is have a good understanding of calculus and move on. I know you guys aren't going to be engineers, it's just calculus for the bio people. So every year I give approximately the same test, and I have this bank of questions that I'm going to pull from for the midterm. So just look at those. If you understand those, you'll be fine. And so that was my mentality. So I didn't look at any calculus. And the week before the midterm, I pulled out that set of questions, and all of a sudden, right, what seemed like a small set of questions, I was like, I can't answer anything in here. And as much as I tried in that week, I could only learn so much of the calculus in 1 week. And so by the time the midterm came, I wasn't prepared and I got that F. And so looking at it in retrospect, I said, dang, I can't do that again. I can't underestimate calculus, overestimate my ability. And I will never, ever, ever again. That's why I tell my students, we never, ever listen to the teacher. We never let the teacher lull us to sleep. How many of you guys have been given the fake, the juck and jive by your teacher? Who's ever been faked out by a teacher? They told you, oh, no, this is what's going to be my midterm. This is what's going to be the midterm. You get to the midterm, and they got you. Got you. Oh, don't worry about that. This is the midterm, and they got you. Right? Rosanna said, yeah, exactly, right? Calc, right? Vanessa says, calc. Who's ever been there juked? And so I learned, I said, listen, if I want to make progress, I can't ever be juked like that again. I can't ever put myself in a position to be dependent on that teacher again. So I will never listen to the teacher again. I will always listen to me, and me says, get your behind maximally prepared so you are never fooled. Then I said to myself, listen, if calculus is not real math, I can't rely on my great math skills I developed over these years. I've got to get in there, get in that book, and put real hours in. Put the work in if I want that A, because no A's come without effort. No A's that are worth having. And so I got to work, changed these things up, made the moves within myself. And the next semester, I got that A. And that's what happens, y'all. That's what happens. And I see the comment here from Utham. Let me see what Utham said here. So Utham says, here's a problem that others may relate to. I want a systematized way, ideally a course that is divided into 5 fundamental... I want to put this on the screen because this is hilarious to me. I gotta crack up on this. So Utham's one of my students. So Utham says, here's a problem that others may relate to. I want a systematized way, ideally a course that is divided into 5 fundamental pillars to study less and get better grades. What should I do? See, my students hang out with me too much. Jokesters. But the truth is, right, that's the reality, is that that's what we really want, right? We're like, man, I want to be prepared. I want to have something that's always like in my back pocket that I can pull out and succeed with. What should I do? It's the 5 pillars, guys. But in this moment, right, as we're talking about these excuses versus progress, the reason I brought this topic up is not because I bombed calculus. It's because, guys, it's that season, right? It's MCAT season. People are gearing up for the MCAT. And it's not necessarily everyone gearing up for the MCAT. There's a lot of people who are my retakers who are gearing up for the MCAT. And as retakers of the MCAT, so many students fail to recognize their true MCAT potential, their true ability to maximize their score, because they're too focused on the excuses of why they can't get the amazing score. Who here understands what I'm talking about? Who here, even as a non-retaker, how many of you guys you're preparing for the first time for the MCAT? How many of you guys have been preparing for the MCAT repeatedly for quite a while because you keep letting your excuses stop you from making the progress on that MCAT? Right? I bring this up because I have a student who's brilliant, who's amazing, who's fantastical, graduated top of her class from college, but is in this endless cycle of MCAT excuse mode. My family needs me. Oh, I'm too tired this. I got too many responsibilities here. They need me at work, blah, blah, blah. All these things that keep coming up for her. And she literally is the perfect candidate and could get in with her eyes closed to medical school. But she keeps making excuses for why she can't take her preparation seriously and why she can't go get this MCAT in. Rosanna, right? Yep. And why she can't get this MCAT in. And for so many of you guys, you don't recognize you're spending so much time, so much focus on the excuses, you're not allowing yourself to make the progress you could. And when it comes to the MCAT, y'all, it is truly, it personifies, it exemplifies process, process, process. Because no one can brute force the MCAT. It is a process. You must have put the time in to be successful on that MCAT. And so you must slowly chip away at the MCAT. But when people are so obsessed with the fact that, oh, I can't do it, oh, they don't make that daily progress, right? They shrink away from it. How many of you guys, you see them books over there, you're like, oh, that's the MCAT, that's the MCAT, that's the MCAT, that's the MCAT. And you said, nah, not today, not right now. I don't know. Ooh, God, ooh, I'm gonna lay down. Let me get my head together. Ooh, let me lay down, right? How many of you guys love to go lay down when it's MCAT study time? Right? That's what happens. We can't do that, y'all. We gotta make progress. We gotta take steps to get there. And in this life, guys, you only have two choices. Either you're making progress or you're making excuses. And oftentimes we don't recognize what our excuses are, but they're there. And that's the only other alternative. If you aren't making progress, and this is where people get confused. Again, we talk about those big leaps, but making a little bit of progress doesn't take talent, right? Doesn't take being super intelligent. It takes being diligent. It takes getting to work, right? Putting the action in. But so many of us are so busy, right? Putting up blockers of why we can't succeed, that we're not putting in the effort we need to succeed. We're not taking action. And for you guys out there who are like me, the dumb student, right? I was the dumb student. I make no qualms about it. I don't need to be like, oh yeah, no, I wasn't. I was dumb. And I said to myself, I am dumb. I'm not as smart as my counterparts. Whether it's true or not, this is the way I looked at it. I'm not as smart as them. And where being dumb was an excuse before, it actually freed me up because I changed it into, wait, I'm not as smart as them. I am dumb. So I can't make the big leap. I can't do things that way. I got to do things differently. I got to do things bit by bit by bit. And so when I was in college and I was as a freshman dorm, right? You feel the pressure from everybody around you to say, oh no, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing, right? Same thing happens when people start medical school. This is what you got to do in medical school. I'm a second year medical student. Listen to me. I know what I'm talking about. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. I tell all my students, when you start medical school, the key to succeeding in first year medical school is to give every other medical student a hand. Don't talk to me. Because all they're going to do is lead you astray by pulling you into what they are doing and what their perceptions are. And what you need to focus on is what you need to do to succeed. And so for me, I was pulling all these things everybody else was doing. Partying, hanging out, staying up late, eating terribly, right? Not focusing in class, skipping class, doing the other things. And I had to flip that and say, listen, I am dumb. I can't do what they're doing. I gotta do something different. And for me, at first, that included studying a lot. Yeah. Turns out studying a lot, even when you're dumb, actually will pay some dividends. If you can put effective time in, right? You don't have to be the smartest, but if you can put effective time in, a little bit or even a lot of it every single day, it turns out your grades will improve. And that's where I started. I started going to bed early, getting up early, and putting in work every single day, and putting in lots of work. But then over time, what was amazing to me was, like anything, the more you do it, the better you get at it, was that I was making studying a habit, and I was studying, and I was learning about studying, and I was implementing, and I was leveling up, and I was troubleshooting, and I was making things better. And every single time I did that, the more time I put in, I started getting highly skilled, highly proficient, highly expert at it. And therefore it allowed me, it enabled me to spend less time. And so over time, I went like this, up the steps, until I was studying only 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, 10 hours a week. 10 hours a week keeps the bees away. You heard that here. 10 hours a week keeps the bees away. Bam. It's the new apples, y'all. 10 hours. But it took me making those steps of saying, yeah, this is a problem, but the way I overcome it is by persistence, is by dedication, is by being that consistency. Does that make sense to everybody right now? Like this video right now if you understand what I'm saying. Comment right now. Let me know. Let me know that you're hearing my voice. The bed is the devil. I like that. You get in that bed, it's trouble. It's trouble. Yeah, and as Kasim said, the MCAT is a bunch of small leaps over time. Oh, I like this. Yes. I'll pull this up, Rosanna, right here. Dr. P, have you heard of the 4 personality types, obliger, questioner, rebel, and etc., and how it affects a person's level of commitment? And what's interesting to me, and this is actually what's funny, is you guys know all these personality tests that are super popular now. They do a lot for business. They're really popular. Like ITJ was out there, but now it's like Myers-Briggs. And then I forget what the other one's called, but there's all these personality tests. And what's so interesting about these things is it's like with everything. It's like an IQ test. Is that all these tests, all these assessments are designed, we think, to frame us and to label us as what we are at our core nature. Do you guys hear what I'm saying right now? So Rosanna asked about the obliger, right? The questioner, the rebel. Are you someone who always has to give in? You always make other people feel good, right? Are you someone who questions everything? You're a skeptic. Are you the rebel where when everyone's going this way, you force yourself to the opposite direction, right? All these different tests, even personality tests, we think that they're designed to say this is what you are and this is what you will always be. But the real truth, if you really look at these studies, what they're trying to tell you is they're trying to give you an insight to who you are currently and what characteristics you currently exhibit. And so they create an opportunity, as we were just talking about, to make progress. Because if you are too one-dimensional, if you are too much in one box, then how can you succeed and be a versatile individual? How can you succeed on all teams and be all things to every people if you can't go back and forth? Does everybody understand what I'm saying right there? I know we kind of swerved off topic, but it's on topic because I'm here for you guys. If you guys have questions, put them in the box. Let's go. But does that make sense to everybody? We look at it as a label. It's permanent. Oh my gosh, I'm an introvert. Oh my gosh, I'm a thinker. Oh my gosh, I'm this. No, it's an opportunity. It's an insight into where you currently exist. And it's an opportunity to say, no, I can be more of this and more of this. And here's how I can go about doing that. That's the reality. And it's the same way in our academic careers is oftentimes we get to become that C student. And I don't know if you guys have seen this, right? I pay attention to early education because I do, right, work with young students. And early education, we've gone to a standardized curriculum. In addition to a standardized curriculum, what they've also done away with are different tracks. So back in my day, right, there was like the GATE program, there was the regular classes, and there was the remedial, slow classes, right? That's what it was. And then we also had special education. And now things have changed and shifted. And what they recognized and realized intelligently, it's awesome, is that when you put people on tracks early on in their career, what's amazing is that people become their track. And this is actually a great, now we've kind of segued over here. This is actually great. I'm glad we went this way, Rosanna. Thank you for bringing up this personality testing, but it's the same way with academics. If you put a kid in a remedial class and you tell them they're remedial, guess what they become over the length of their career? Remedial. If you tell a kid he's gifted and you put him in the gifted class, guess what he becomes over his career? Gifted. If you tell a kid they're in the normal class, right, then like it goes that way. But these labels actually do students a disservice because it segments them early on into these molds they'll never break free of because that's their label. That's the training they get. That's the expectation that teachers have of themselves. That's the expectation the parents have of themselves. So everyone's expectations, thought process, stores that kid is that. Oh, you are the remedial kid. I don't expect much from you. And becomes, as Kasim just said, the self-fulfilling prophecy. But what's interesting, right? This is our society put us in those boxes. They're getting rid of those boxes. But what's crazy is we don't recognize how we put ourselves in said boxes. How we predetermine, right? We create a self-fulfilling prophecy, as Kasim just said here. Let me put this up here. We create this self-fulfilling prophecy where we're telling ourselves, oh, you know what? Dang. For my whole life, I'm no good at math. 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 I'll never be good at math. So then what do? We stay away from the math table, from the math classes, right? We put off the math class. When we are in the math class, we do the bare minimum. We tell ourselves, oh, I'm not going to get in here. I'm not going to get in here. And we do the bare minimum just to survive. That's our expectation of ourselves. And so we never become better at math. We never become the A student in math. We never give math the chance it needs to become great at us because we created this box, this stereotype, right? This lens with which we see ourselves that is extremely limiting. And that's the problem. That's the problem. That's the issue. And that's what we do to ourselves all the time with our excuses. right? Our excuses pigeonhole us, pin us back where we can't go beyond that. Does that make sense to everybody right now? I'm Dr. Pinesett. I'm The Study Doc. This is The Study Doc Show. This is a channel of education. If you're here to get better, this is the place to be. It's all about positivity. It's all about productivity. It's all about helping you reach your goals as students and as high achievers. And no matter what you've been through, what you're going through, what you foresee on the horizon as your struggles, read the shirt. It doesn't matter. Those are simply excuses. We can and we will dominate. But to do so, we have to make up our minds. We have to get behind ourselves, be the wind beneath our own freaking wings, and soar off caw-caw, to the skies of greatness. That's what we have to do. Yes, yes? Yeah, we doubt ourselves for even giving ourselves a chance. And I see this a lot too. Same thing. Is people, Rosanna, I make a commitment. By the end of October, Rosanna, I've been saying this for like 4 years. By the end of this month, you will be able to get my t-shirts on my website, thestudydoc.com. You'll be able to get these t-shirts so you can rep and you can understand and you can walk around and you can not only just see it and believe in your own mind, you can see it on your chest. Say, no, it's no excuses. It's just domination all the time. Yeah, so Uttam, that's exactly what I'm talking about. So if you guys haven't seen this, it's been a shift. It's been happening over like the last 3-4 years. But they've been getting rid of these early assessment and placement tests and these different tracks in early education because they recognized it was actually counterproductive. Because the kids you put in gifted education were already going to be gifted because they show this early, right, exposure. And oftentimes kids are early gifted because their parents exposed them certain things early on. So they're already on a pathway for greatness. But it's those remedial kids who suffer when you put them in remedial classes. It's the kids who are in the middle who could have the potential to be gifted but are stuck in a class with these other kids and it brings down the median. So now they put everybody in a big box and they say, listen, we will go and we will push you guys to be excellent. But now the issue becomes their standardized curriculum in elementary school. But for you guys, right, we got to be thinking about ourselves and thinking about how we are preventing ourselves with our excuses from being the achievers we could be. Because some of you guys have tremendous potential, tremendous opportunities for greatness. But you make excuses and so you don't make progress. And you guys know I'm the relationship guru, right? It's the same thing that happens in relationships. I can't tell you how many times, how many of you guys have had a bad breakup? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. How many of you guys had a bad breakup? I'm in here sweating. How many times do you have this terrible, no good, awful breakup, or you have something that happens terrible? He cheats, she cheats, whatever. Something terrible happens in your relationship. And literally, in the moment it happens, you're like, oh my gosh, how could this have happened? And then a week later, you could pinpoint the moment where you should have got rid of their ass. When all the dust settles, a week later, you're like, gosh, dang it. 4 years and 3 days ago on that Tuesday, they said this, and I should have kicked them to the curb right then. It's like a flash. Oh my gosh, what? What have I been doing for 4 years? You've been making excuse after excuse after excuse for this person. And all those excuses, those times you excuse that bad behavior, prevented you from making progress and starting anew with someone who is what you deserve, someone who is better. Chronological order on a spreadsheet, right? Jot it down. Whoop, 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 right? You can see it. You remember the exact conversation and where it was. We all know. But guys, we joke and we laugh about relationships. And the reason I bring that up is because we all experience that, right? But it's the same way with your careers. I promise you, as someone who succeeded, and I often ask people, right, where their career went off the rails. And I told the story in a couple of videos. If you guys go back, I think it was maybe like a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, I talked about how I got to see the other side of the looking glass when I saw another black male who went to UC Irvine with me, was in the same year. We were both pre-med, and then he got in some academic trouble. He listened to his counselor, left the university, and never got back on track, and now he's a janitor. And then we literally were in the same class. He's a janitor, and like his life's in a different place. And then I look at my life. I'm a doctor. I'm doing all these things. I'm inspiring children and students and adults like you. Some of you guys are, right? All these kind of things. And it was that other side of the looking glass, right? And listening to him say, oh, what you been up to? It was almost like he could pinpoint the moment where his life went that way. And as you guys, what you don't want to be is in a position of regret where you can look back at your life and say, man, it was that excuse, That moment where I chose not to persevere, where I chose not to get better, where I chose not to rededicate myself, that's why I'm not a doctor. That's why I'm not the success I want to be. That's why my family looks like I'm crazy. That moment right there, that day where I gave up. Don't let that be your story. Because as someone who's succeeded, I can pinpoint the exact moment in that counselor's office where I was like, I will never be that again. I resolve to be better than that. Right? I resolve, I shall not never be in that situation again. And it changed my life in that moment. And there were several other key moments in my life where I had stumbles. Oh, bust my toe. But I didn't go all the way down. Kept my feet about me, and I kept running and moving. And there's a couple key moments where I'm like, man, I could have went a totally different direction had I made that decision. And I can see that in hindsight. And so as you guys are at the front of the tunnel, you can't see what's ahead of you. But I promise you, it's going to be the excuses. So can we make a commitment today, y'all, to say, I'm not going to make the excuses anymore. I'm going to make some freaking progress around here. I don't care if it's one baby step. And what you guys don't recognize, you guys fail to recognize, you're like, oh, I'm going to be a better student. I'm going to study 10 hours today. That's not how it happens. You never study 10 hours a day in your whole life. But now all of a sudden, this moment, you're all of a sudden going to study 10 hours a day? No. It starts with saying, listen, I'm going to study for 1 hour tomorrow. If I can do 1 hour tomorrow, I've made progress. And then you know what, the next day, I'm going to do 1 hour and 2 minutes, progress. And the next day, I'm going to do 1 hour and 3 minutes, progress, and progress, and progress, and progress. And you string enough of those progress days together, man, you're going to be on fire. You're going to be on fire, and you're going to be making the progress you need to make, right, the success happen. And for many of you guys, the reason you make excuses instead of progress is you don't have a process. You don't have a pathway to get there. And as Utham just said, what would I do if I wanted to be a great student and have a system in place? It is the 5 pillars. It ain't no joke. It is the 5 pillars. The 5 pillars of studying less and getting better grades, y'all. And if you want to learn more about the 5 pillars, guys, I've got a free study webinar. It's over 2.5 hours of me teaching you about what it takes to become a successful student, what I did and what you can do. It's a great opportunity. So check that out in the description box below, y'all. This is the Study Doc Show. We're live on YouTube right now. It's going to go over to the podcast later on. You guys get the podcast as audio. Hear this later, right? Jesus says, the question is, Dr. Pinesett, how can we overcome those excuses? Sometimes it's difficult, and unconsciously our decision-making doesn't help. And this is what I was just talking about, Jesus. I was actually just bringing this up. I'm glad I saw your question right here. Is that it's that lack of a process. Oh man, I could just keep going if I just knew what should I do next? What's that next first step I should take? Which way do I go? I want to go, but I want to stop making the excuses. I want to be different. I want to make the progress. I want to go, but I don't know which way to go. That's where you find key experts, people who understand the how, not, oh, I did it, look at me. No, this is how I did it right here to show you that way. And if you're talking about, Jesus, your grades are the issue, right? Your progress as a student is the issue. I'm telling you, the webinar I've linked in the description is where you start. If you're like, no, I want to make 10 steps today, then you enroll right now in the 5 pillars. That's what you do. Does that make sense? Because it's the plan, it's the process. When we lack the process, we lack the direction, when we lack the guidance, we cannot make that progress. Then we do have to choose to make the excuses because we have no other choice. We have no other choice. Right? And your desire, I love that, Rosanna, has to be greater than the excuse. And I love that. And so often people say, oh, I got to be a doctor. Dr. Pine said, I have to be a doctor. And I can tell in a moment, in an instant, when they're asking them about their actions, that it isn't a burning, like guttural, like, oh, they don't need it. It's like, oh, I want to be a doctor, kind of. Your desire has to exceed that excuse. Because it feels good to make excuses. Whew, man, it's not my fault. It's the teacher's fault. It's not my fault. My parents don't support me. It's their fault. Oh, you know what? It's not my fault. That tutor, not my fault. It's not my, it's all, no. Your desire has to be greater. It has to feel so strong, much stronger than that excuse feels inside your heart. Wow, I like that. And you know, this is interesting. I'm going to put this up here. Is it okay if we keep talking, y'all? Who's still with me? I made this too big somehow. Let me shrink this up a little bit. Are we all still together? Like the video, comment right now. Let me know I'm not here by myself. Because I'll keep teaching. I'm having a good day today. I'm well rested. If you guys saw my Instagram, I was in the jacuzzi earlier today, rejuvenating myself before I go into call tonight. Utham says, speaking of which, sometimes I fear that all I have amounted to can go away in an instant if I make the wrong choice. How many of you guys feel this way? How many of you guys, and this is, I love that Utham put this up here, because a lot of you guys feel this way and it makes you paralyzed. It makes you want to lean on the excuses. Because sometimes we have this whole mentality of, if I don't move, I don't lose, right? Because if I move and I make the wrong step, all the progress I've made to this point can go away in an instant. And the reality is, guys, is oftentimes we look at it, and I'll give you this example. Becoming successful, right, doesn't happen in an instant. It's hard, it's difficult, it's strenuous. The analogy I would use to success is mountain climbing. It's mountain climbing. And the way a lot of us look at success and look at our climb to the top is we look at like we're free climbing. I think that's what it's called. Is that what it's called? Who knows? Free climbing, right? It's when you when you don't have any harnesses and stuff. You're like a climbing purist, and you just basically climb up like a spider up the wall. Is that what it's called? Excuse me. I gotta clear this out. Excuse me. Coughing in you guys' ear. Yes, it's called free climbing. Okay, perfect. I just want to make sure it's free climbing. Okay. Bouldering. There we go. DeJean's probably right. Bouldering or free climbing, whatever. You're a spider. You're going up. No cables. A lot of us look at our success, our climb to the top, like bouldering or free climbing, where we are on the side of the mountain and one wrong handhold, one wrong foothold, we plunge 1,000 feet to our death and it's over. But the truth and the reality of life is that it is like harness climbing. Is that a thing? Harness climbing? It's like harness climbing where you have a safety rope holding you onto this rock. You have another friend over here who's roped to you, and they're hanging on you on this side, another side. So if you take a misstep, you're off the wall for a second, you drop down a couple feet, but you have the opportunity to climb again. Yes? If we understand that no failure, no single, and this is actually a good kind of subtle point here, no single failure is great enough to keep us from our goals, to keep us from being success. No single failure or letdown or mistake or mishap can keep you from your goal or your dream. But what happens is that oftentimes we get on a path of destruction where we make a mistake, and instead of taking the time to get informed to make a proper step forward, we just go at it again. And we just go at it again. We just go at it again. And all of those poorly informed actions, right? All of those repeated missteps, that does result in a fall that's too catastrophic to return from. Yes. And I'm gonna do a talk because I think it's important to break down. I'm gonna show you guys an email I got from a student who, for the first time in my entire career, guys, this is kind of crazy. You guys know I'm a positive person. I'm a realist, but I'm positive. This is the first time I've ever told a student, you can't get back into medical school. And notice I said back into medical school because the student sent me this email, and this email was crazy. And what is preventing the student from ever getting back in is, as Utham just said, right? It's not one single cut, it's death by 1,000 cuts. The student has made repeated on the dozens of intervals, huge missteps that are now going to prevent them from going forward. And so for you guys, understand, it's not one misstep, one failure, one letdown, right? Even applying to medical school. You apply to medical school, you don't get in, my life is over. No. Regroup. Make progress. What can I change? What can I improve upon to make myself a better applicant for next cycle? Then you get in, right? I have numerous people who reapplied and got into great top schools, got into schools at all. That's all that matters, getting in, right? But it's because they stayed with it and they came up with a better plan the next time they applied. Maybe it was getting in my application course, right? How to dominate the med school application and personal statement, right? My step-by-step system for applying to medical school. Maybe that helped them. Maybe they suffered on the interview, so they got into my How to Dominate the Interview course. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe they finally stopped rushing their application and took the time to say, you know what, I've been rushing. Let me take a step back and just sit with myself, get my thoughts together, and put together a competent application. But either way, there's never It's never one single moment's going to erase your greatness. It's going to make you a failure. You fail. Think about all the comeback stories. How many of you guys have? There's so many great comeback stories. Every single look at Rudy. I don't even know. There's all these movies, right? There's comeback stories, right? The Blind Side, whatever. There's all these stories that we love in Hollywood where the underdog, right, goes and they have a huge failure and they come back and they succeed. We all love that. Everybody's on the free Britney train right now, right? Because Britney went through some hard times, was acting a little off, and now she's back trying to get the services. Everyone loves that comeback story. How can there be so many comeback stories if making a mistake, if failing was final? It's not. Otherwise, there'd be no comeback stories. So you guys can always make that progress, but you got to get informed. You got to put the process in place. And I can't say that enough. You can't just be out here flying blind, repeatedly just flying yourself into the wall. Then you're going to fall to your death. Did I beat that analogy to death? All right. Does that make sense to everybody? If that makes sense to you right now, if you guys want me to keep going, comment right now, like the video right now. Let me know. Let me know. We are live action. Dr. Pinesett here, The Study Doc. My website is thestudydoc.com. If you want to become great, that's where you must go. Mother of many, I am glad you are here to catch this live. I am glad How to Double Your City Efficiency course has been helpful to you. I'm glad you made the decision to go to my website, thestudydoc.com, and get into a course. Happy to see that. Yeah, so I'll put this one up. Everybody sees that? Ilfan says, for me, just starting to study is the problem. Once I get into it, I can stay focused for a good something before I start getting distracted. This is an excuse. This is a lie. This is a justification we tell ourselves. This is a justification. This is a lie. Can everybody see the justification and the lie in this statement right here? I want everyone to read this, and I want you to comment. We're here to learn. I want everyone to comment, how is this student lying to themselves? Pay close attention here. What's the justification? What's the lie here? What's the excuse here? Because they're trying to get help, and I'm going to help you in a second. But I want everyone to see the psychology of this excuse right here. What is it? Do we see it? Oh, and Dreamer, I like your comment. We're going to get to that in a second. We'll get to that as our next point. This student says, for me, just starting to study is the problem. Once I get into it, I can stay focused for a good time before I start getting distracted. We think it's one thing, but the problem is many things. One of the questions I always ask when I go out to do events, and I'm talking about studying, is I ask students, and Ilfan, I'll ask you right now, how much better would your studying be if you simply did nothing else but study when you're supposed to study? How much better would your grades be if you did nothing else differently, but you simply studied when you're supposed to study? Meaning you say, listen, I got to study this time, put it on the schedule. You put it on the schedule, and then that time comes, and then you don't start studying. You don't get the study session in. How much better would your studying be if you actually did do that and you followed through? How many of you guys would get better grades? Y'all, we are here together. I shall wait as long as you'd like to wait. I'm here all day. Understand the question I asked. How many of you would have better grades if you simply studied when you were supposed to study? I only got one comment. We're going to wait. Thank you. People starting to comment. The reality is that for so many students, getting started is the issue. How many of you guys struggle with unconscionable amounts of procrastination? where you're supposed to do one thing, and instead of doing that one thing, you do something else. I was supposed to study today, but I was on TikTok. I was supposed to study today, but I went to the barbecue. I was supposed to study today, but my friend needed me. They were crying because the boyfriend broke up with them. I was supposed to, and then I didn't. And the reality is, and what I'm trying to point to here, is that people have to recognize that when we say it's just this, it is a lie to ourselves. It is a symptom of a larger disease. So when we say just starting to study is the problem, we trivialize, we minimize, we negate the seriousness of the issue we have. We don't take it as seriously as we need to, and so therefore we don't make the change, the massive change we need to be different. So if you struggle to initiate studying, let me show you. Maybe you struggle to initiate studying because you're tired. Why are you tired? Because you don't value sleep. Maybe you're tired because you don't allow yourself, have enough time in your schedule to get the sleep you need. Maybe you cause yourself to get poor quality sleep with mistimed caffeine, with late night alcohol consumption, with snoozing your clock in the morning, right? Maybe you are stressed about things outside of your academics, and therefore you cannot initiate sleep properly. You cannot stay asleep. You get up in the middle of the night and you think about all the worries of your life, right? Maybe you are putting too many study sessions into a day. And so when we're talking about just starting to study is the problem, maybe it's because you have too many study sessions planned. And so the thought of having to get 8 hours in today is overwhelming to you. So you're like, I might as well not even start because I'm not going to get it done. Maybe your study sessions are too long. Maybe you're studying for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours at a time. And so when you sit down, you're like, gosh, dang, 6 hours, I'm not going to do it. And so you don't start. Maybe your resources aren't in a feasible, right, low resistance place for you to make progress. I don't know where my books are. I don't got the right software. Oh, my computer's this. My computer's too old. It takes forever to boot up. But what are all the obstacles that are making you procrastinate? Do we understand what I'm saying right now? The font is me, right? Like the lie here is that, I just gotta get started. What is stopping you from getting started? That's how you can make progress. What's the issue? Where's the issue? Right? Once I get started, I can stay focused for a while before getting distracted. Well, if you're able to be distracted during your studying, then something's wrong with your study environment, your study setup, with your study length, with, right, allowing distractors into your space, into your quorum. Your study session shouldn't end with distraction. Your study session should end because it's time for the study session to end, not because you got distracted. Does everybody see? Thank you, Ilfan, for your contribution. Does everybody get what I'm saying right now? If you understand what I'm saying right now, comment or like, because I don't want to be here alone. I don't want to be alone today. Right? I'm on here live action before I'm about to go in the hospital, serve patients all night. Make it worth my while. Let me feel like I'm here for a reason for 48, going on 49 minutes. Right? As I struggle to drink this water. And Brent says they stopped going to medical school, decided they wanted to make money, and it was a good reason for them. The only reason I wanted to go to medical school was because of money, but I found my other careers like sales that opened up to things that are good to me, right? And I'll say that, Brent, that's a very helpful comment. Because oftentimes, and this happens disproportionately with disadvantaged students. And I don't know if there was a great article. I prepped a talk for it, so I have a talk coming out for you guys about this. But there was a great article recently in the Wall Street Journal that was talking about the really expensive degrees that people are getting in education. It's the farce of education leading to wealth. And what this article was talking about was that you have now a disproportionate amount of disadvantaged low-income students who are chronic students. So they go and get one degree, then another degree, then another degree. They're in a master's program. They're over here. And they're thinking the more degrees, the more education they obtain, the better they're going to do economically. But the problem is twofold. One is that they get degrees that don't translate to high-paying careers. The second problem is the cost of education in America has skyrocketed, and the loan terms for student loans is completely upside down, completely catastrophic to students. So here you have low-income individuals trying to use education to create wealth, not recognizing they aren't on a path to create that wealth. And so as Brent was just saying, his path to medical school was like, listen, I want to make money. I want to have that. For me, going to medical school was about money because I wanted stability. I wanted a career where I can make a good income for me and my family. But I recognized early on, people ask me all the time, Dr. Pinesett, should I go get a master's degree? And I say, no, you should only get a master's degree if you like the subject, if you have a plan for how you're going to use it in your career to make money. Otherwise, it's a waste of time and money where you could be making money or having free time to do something else otherwise. And so Brent mentions, right, going to medical school, I was going for this plan, right? And Brent, oh, so perfect. See, I didn't even know who Brent was, but I'm right. I'm on the money. Brent is the example, right? So I'll pull Brent's comment up. Brent said, I came from a poor family and everyone forced me to do medicine, but I was miserable. So I just had to find a way out of it, as tough as it was, but I'm in a happier place now, right? That's the reality, is that you think, or your family thinks, oh, this is the way, you're going to save us, you're going to go this way. But there's always, we have to be honest and stop saying, oh, my family says I have to go to medical school. I can't tell you how many students, I'm like, why would you have applied? Well, my family told me I had to apply. My family told me just apply, see what happens. My mom, my dad, they said this to me and I just did it. And we do these things and we look around 5, 10, 15, 20 years later and we look at ourselves like, man, why am I here? I'm here because I didn't listen to myself. I made excuses. Went the wrong way. And so, Brent, I commend you, and I wish more people would recognize they're on a pathway that doesn't serve them. I have a lot of students who are already nurses, and I won't mention his name, but I have a student who's a nurse. He's already a nurse. He's already a critical care nurse, and he wants to become a doctor to potentially become an anesthesiologist. And I'm like, why would you do that? Just become a CRNA. It's way shorter, and you can do the same things an anesthesiologist does, but you're a certified registered nurse anesthetist. But it's that whole thing of, oh, I got to be in medicine. My family wants me to be in medicine. My family wants me to be a doctor. My family wants me to be a doctor. You got to do what you got to do to support yourself, to be happy, to find something that works for you guys. So recognize that, y'all. Brent, thank you for your comment. Right? In medical sales, and it's awesome. We have sales reps all the time in the OR. They love their life. They get to travel around, talk to people, be social, make nice commissions. It's a great life. And you get to use the skills right from your bio degree. And it's all good. You're in the environment, but it serves you. That's what life's about, y'all. But it's about progress. And if Brent were to be on here right now, he would probably tell you he had to take a hard look in the mirror and say, listen, am I just fooling myself? Am I just justifying? Am I just making excuses to stay in this career where I know I'm not being happy? I'm not serving myself. All I'm doing is working against myself. I got to make a change. And he made that change. And I'm sure it's probably one of the hardest things he's ever had to do, to make that decision and say, I'm giving up on my family's dream for me, my family's box they put me in of the future doctor. But I'm doing so, right? And again, once the dust settles, a week later, you could say, man, that was a great decision. That was a phenomenal decision that I made for myself, and it's changed my life. Yes, yes. All right. Thank you, Brent, for your comment. All right. Everybody, we are at 54 minutes. If you have enjoyed this video, take 1 second and like this video. Take a second, and I want you to comment, and I want you to comment in this box, I will not make excuses. I will not make excuses. And then I want you to commit to making progress and ask yourself, what's one way I can start making some progress right now? The moment I finish watching this on YouTube or listening to this on the podcast, what can I do to make some progress, gosh darn, right now? and make it happen, y'all. Robert, what up? Right? And make it happen. And if this is your first time joining us, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you toggle the bell and you turn on live notifications because you want some Dr. P goodness in your day. You need some Dr. P goodness in your day. I will not make excuses. I will make progress. I will not sabotage myself. I will look with a critical eye to the issues, to the adversity that I face, to my mishaps, to ensure that I'm on a pathway, that I have a process to make progress to succeed. And if you guys don't know what that process is, if you don't have a pathway to success, get to my gosh darn website, thestudydoc.com, and get a process. Because my website is proven processes. And when you string those proven processes together over and over again, those proven processes repeated is success. Does everybody understand? Get to work, y'all. How do we end every single video? No excuses, just dominate. I will not make excuses, y'all. Thank you for joining me. We'll be back live action tomorrow night at 5 p.m. I don't know what we're talking about. If you got something you want to talk about, put it in the box. Say, Dr. Pinesett, I need a video on this. Help me out. Put your question in the box and let's go, y'all. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Everyone have a wonderful evening. Peace. That's it for another episode of the Study Doc Show. Show your love by smashing the like button and commenting in the box below. Today is the day, guys. No more excuses, no more complaining. You're going to take your future into your own hands. You're going to dominate. You're going to be successful. I challenge you. What are you going to do today to make your life better? Get to my website, thestudydoc.com. Grab a free ebook, sign up for a free webinar, and if you're really ready to transform, enroll in one of my life-changing courses or coaching programs. You have greatness inside you. Let me show you how to unlock it so you can dominate and make your dreams a reality. No excuses, just dominate.